And if there will be one that will be operating after today, let me not say beyond that, right? Because for purposes of efficiency, we are on a digital platform so that there are no lost files, there are no gray areas, there are no corners that is gathering dust. We want to make sure that we can demonstrate productivity. It's also important that we complete projects. We have projects in ministries, in state departments that are 20 years old. I told the Ministry of Housing, we have markets, 180 markets that were started 15 years ago under the ESP program. We have now committed resources this year. All those markets should be completed as a priority in the next 1 year. All those markets should be ready. Matters environment are going to be front and center of what we will be doing as well. So the National Tree Cover Restoration Campaign is part of the delivery of every ministry and state department. We are looking forward to working on internship and industrial attachment. Again, the ministry concerned, we have agreed on what to do. This was our intention 5 years ago, but it was not delivered because of the old culture of making commitments that we didn't have any intention to keep. On internships this time around, we must keep our commitment. I have already engaged the private sector. We have agreed. Government is going to deliver progressively to 20,000 internships every year. The private sector have committed to me that they will deliver up to 50,000 internships every year. We want to see how we can grow these to 100,000 and make sure that we give a chance to many young people coming out of college, coming out of our universities, to practice what they have learned, either for a year or 2 years, acquire some experience, and find their way into employment and also into the market. Access to government procurement opportunities by young people, women, and persons living with disability. As I have said with clarity, that for a very long time, we invested a lot of resources in our human capital, and rightfully so. This year, we have committed 628 billion Kenya shillings for the education of the people of Kenya. That is huge resources. We are deploying additional resources in the hiring of additional teachers. We're deploying additional resources in making sure that we deliver on our TVET program. We are almost doubling resources that will go to our university education, and we are pulling all our universities from being saddled with debt because of the old funding model. But different from the past, this year, we not only have a program on education and training, we also this year have a program on what happens when our children come out of college, come out of school, and come out of our universities. That's why we have clarity on how we are going to create jobs this year. We have clarity that we are going to have a clear plan on how to create jobs. And I expect that every ministry and every department will be aligned. Whether it is our housing plan to create 1 million jobs, whether it is our digital space and digital jobs and Ajira and ICT hubs to create digital jobs, whether it is the Ministry of Labor working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and all other departments that work with human capital development in that space for our foreign employment opportunities, targeting another 1 million or so jobs. That whole ecosystem is now going to be part of what we must deliver as government. We must deliver the jobs as much as we are delivering on education and training. We are also going to work on the project and program of local content. As you've all seen, we've talked about Build Kenya, Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. We've talked about local content. For the first time in this year's finance bill, we are making fiscal intervention to make sure that we expand our manufacturing as a percentage of GDP in our country by deliberately discouraging imports that we can produce locally, whether it is cement, whether it is steel, whether it is furniture, whether it is fish, and all the other things that we've always imported when we can manufacture them locally using local talent, local expertise, local resources, and building our local manufacturing and industrial capacity. I am very proud that we are now moving in that direction as part of what we must do. As I mentioned before, many Kenyans have been disappointed by the endless cycles of unfulfilled pledges. Because of our long history of white elephant projects and corruption scandals, some see these commitments as vendor-driven kickback rackets, disguised conspiracies to embezzle public funds. There are people who are listening to us out there. When they hear we are going to do KAIPs, County Aggregation Industrial Parks, they hear we are going to do markets, we are going to build this road, we are going to deliver on that dam, they think it's an opportunity for them to go and steal public money. I want to tell you in broad daylight, eyeball to eyeball, that will not happen. Please, good people. Yes. I have had a heart-to-heart discussion with my cabinet. I want to do the same with the rest of the government bureaucracy from PSS down to directors. It will not be business as usual. I made a commitment to the people of Kenya that there will be no money to steal. There is only money to deliver on the programs, on the projects, on the aspirations of the people of Kenya. A political culture of poor promise-keeping, as well as endemic corruption, has done significant damage to our social fabric by eroding trust in government and widening the rift that separates citizens' aspirations from government policy. We cannot afford to wait and see where this road may lead, because it has already brought us to a very terrible place. It is time that this comes to an end once and for all. And I promise you, it will come to an end. For those who have engaged in corruption incorrigibly. Because I know, for example, the people in the procurement space. There was one lady in one of the roads departments, corrupt to the core, to the extent that she could not be transferred by anybody, even by the minister, because if she was transferred, she will go to court, buy the court process, and make sure that she's returned. That is the kind of chronic where corruption has taken us. I hope Mr. Kipchumba Murkomen and Bwana Mbogwa, I hope that lady no longer works for the government of Kenya. Yeah. We cannot have such. There are people who have made government offices their private property. You try to transfer them elsewhere, they go to court, they go to some agency, you find them back. It will not happen. Yeah? Those kind of things, we must put them behind us. We are servants of the people of Kenya. We are not their masters. And we serve at the pleasure of the people of Kenya. We don't serve at their mercy. So it's going to be different. It is going to be different. I promise you it's going to be different. And it's not going to be business as usual. And we are not going to wait until public money is lost. The moment there is signs that you have intentions of doing something, we will deal with you firmly and summarily. And because we have enough people in Kenya who can do these jobs. Under our new bold vision of radical transformation, we must simultaneously implement policies, programs, and projects to achieve inclusive growth, and at the same time undertake robust measures to eradicate corruption, wastage, and inefficiency. I have given my solemn undertaking to protect public resources during my term in office. I shall be held to account for the good performance of our country, delivery of our commitments, and the stewardship of public resources. I intend, by all means, to keep a good account of each of these mandates. I ask for your assistance, and all of us to commit to make sure that we don't disappoint the people of Kenya. In order to do this, I shall hold every officer serving in government, beginning with you people seated here, to account for both their performance in service delivery and stewardship of public resources. I shall deal with cases of negligence, misappropriation, embezzlement, theft, or rather misconduct or corruption in relation to public resources summarily and decisively. You are hereby duly notified. I have high expectations of you because I am confident that by now you are familiar with the workings of government, accustomed with our work rate, and fully aware of our intention to implement all our commitments. I speak to many of you on phone. Many times I call you to my office, we interact in different places. I ask you questions, you know that, on programs, on projects. And I find that many of you, the people I speak to, don't even know what is going on in your ministries or departments. You have very scanty information. the moment I know more than you in your ministry, then you must begin to understand that something is very wrong. Because by constitution, you are supposed to advise me. Explain to me how you are going to advise me if you have less information than I do. Who is going to be advising who? I call many PSs. You ask them what's going on here. They have no clue. And this is your department. That is the job that you have. You are not a messenger. You are not a security person. You are not a photographer. You are not a watchman. You are the PS or the minister. And the job of the minister and the PS, you don't know. Or you don't have information. How do you run a ministry or a department or a parastatal if you have no information? That is the highest level of incompetence. So please, take time, read. There's a lot of literature on your desks. There's a lot of briefs from departments. There are a lot of briefs from all manner of places. Read. I take time myself to read, because it's the only way you can have the correct information for you to be able to make the right decisions. You can never, I promise you, you can never make the right decisions if you do not have the correct information. It will all be a game of guesswork. Get as much. We have many good officers. They send us briefs to our desks, but because of whatever reason, people don't want to read. They don't want to understand what's going on in their state departments or ministries or where they're supposed to be doing. So please, let me ask you, I get a lot of feedback from the public. For example, I was in Kwale, and I stopped in Likoni, and I was talking to the public, and one of them was asking me, Mr. President, we haven't quite understood how the Hustler Fund Phase 2 is working. How do we form the groups? And I remember I called CS Chelugui. I didn't find him, so I called his PS, and I found her, and I explained to her, I told her, look, the public is not understanding this. Did I call you or not on Sunday? I told you this is what the public is saying. Please do more sensitization on Hustler Fund Phase 2. Sindio? So, feedback, and it's not because of any, we have to perform, we have to perform. So when you hear my deputy saying, find time, travel, but travel and see the people who have hired us, go to different parts of Kenya so that you can get feedback from the public, and on and on and on and on. So this is what we must all, when we talk about citizen-centric, it is ultimately the citizens we are serving. As I have said, I wish all of you, and I have said this with clarity, you have my goodwill. Always, I am always available to any minister, to any PS, if they are not sure of what they are supposed to do. I have instructed the head of public service to be available My economic team is here. I want them to stand up if they are here this morning. Members of my team, they are here. Simameni, I'm sure, I think some of them got late also. They should know better. So I have deployed a whole team of almost 10 people to assist every state department, every ministry. Whenever things are not clear, they are not aligned, you are not sure what our commitment is, they are ready every day with an appointment. You will go through with them. If it is necessary, I normally come in there and we go through the numbers together, we go through the interventions together, we look at how best to deliver, because we are one team. You know, we are one team. And my economic team is not interested in running any ministry. And I have explained this to ministers. They are not interested. They are not in competition with anybody. They just want to assist you to succeed, because in your success is our collective success. And in our collective success is the success of our country. All of us must work together. I expect that the other arms of government will work with us in a collaborative manner. Everybody and every arm of government discharging their responsibility. We will be supportive of the other arms of government to the extent that we can, within the provisions of the law. I remember on my first day on the swearing in into office, I made a commitment that our country is going to be anchored on the rule of law. That rule of law is going to be front and center. And that is why we got rid of the culture of extrajudicial killing. And we disbanded the notorious criminal gang that was in the police that presided over those criminal activities. And I intend that the country will continue in that trajectory of the rule of law. I dare say that we did not get rid of extrajudicial killings that caused the loss of close to 200 Kenyans, that ended up in Yala River, that ended up in Tana River, that ended up in Abadeas, so that we can entertain another culture of impunity, of past, present, and other leaders using violence as a currency for politics in Kenya, and in so doing, occasioning the loss of life of other citizens. That cannot be. The same way we said no to extrajudicial killings, we have said no to violence as a means of politics in Kenya. We can discuss all other matters, but violence must not be in the equation of our politics as a country. And so, tuendelee namna hiyo, tuko pamoja kabisa. Mimi nawatakia heri sisi wote tulio hapa. Vile nilisema pale mbeleni, tuko na nafasi mzuri sana kama taifa kubadilisha taifa letu la Kenya. Na sisi tulio hapa kama viongozi wa serikali kwa sasa, tuko na jukumu la kihistoria ya kubadilisha Kenya. Ndio tumesema katika mpango wetu tuwe na mpango kamili ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba tuko na food security, tunazalisha chakula. Na mimi nawashukuru wakulima wa taifa letu la Kenya, ni wazalendo wa ajabu. Mwaka huu kazi wakulima wamefanya haijawahi kuonekana. Ndio tuzalishe chakula. We can actually double our food production in Kenya and eliminate the shame of hunger in Kenya. Vile vile tuko na mpango kamili, mpango mzima wa kuzalisha ajira katika taifa letu la Kenya, kupitia mpango wa housing, kupitia mpango wa digital jobs, mipango mingine ya kuzalisha ajira, na vile vile kukuza uchumi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Ndio tuongeze mapato, tuondoe umaskini. That plan, we have a historic moment to achieve it. And I am trusting you as the senior-most team to provide leadership, working, of course, with our development partners and all the other good people that are working with us. I therefore remind you to pursue and maintain the highest professional standards and observe the principles and values of public service under Article 232(1) of the Constitution. I also encourage you to keep a copy of this performance contract in sight at all times, to anchor your reflections and to focus your intentions and your actions, so that we can all have a good account of ourselves a year from today. I wish you success in your work, good people, and look forward to presiding over the release of the results of your performance at the end of this financial year. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless our great country, Kenya. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Let us all rise and finish with the national anthem.